I've published about 15 novels. I first got started when, back in 1988, I was working in Leicester, and I was in youth work. It was the headquarters of the National Youth Organisation that I was working for. And I'd been working for 7 or 8 years for them, and I kind of ran out of steam and just decided to quit my job and go down to live on a Greek island with my then girlfriend, now my wife. She quit her job, she was working in Leicester as well. And we got a little 2CV car and drove all the way down to Greece. And we lived in a shack on the beach with no running water. It was water from a pump, no electricity. So there was no internet, there was no television, there was no local cinema. You know, it was just hurricane lamps and candle lamps and scorpions climbing up the walls, and it was like £7 a week to rent with a boat. It was right on the water's edge, and I had a beautiful year, and I spent the year writing. So I was able to crank out an incredible amount of words, you know, on a daily basis, and I think that experience of just doing volume really helped me in the business of learning how to push words around on a page. Yeah. And the fairy tale ending to that story is that I got my first novel published at the end of that year, so that's where I got started. It's a mix, really. That one does in particular because I worked at a holiday camp in Skegness in 1976. It was a heat wave, yeah. And unusually for this country, we had a kind of hosepipe ban everywhere. The country was suffering from drought, and there was a plague of ladybirds on the coast. I mean, for a couple of days, you actually couldn't go out the door. They were so thick in front of you. It was a very strange experience. But anyway, I was working at a holiday camp, and I was a young student, and glad to get a nice summer holiday job. Yeah. And I was a bit surprised when I got there to find out there was a little caucus of National Front members in the holiday camp. Yeah. And they tried to recruit me, and so it was based on some of my experiences. It's actually a ghost story, but it has all that underlying politics and heat wave context going on. I think it's great because readers are very important to me. They're not like strangers to me. They're like people I know almost. And sometimes I get letters from people saying that they got this or that out of the book, and it really is. It makes me think what I'm doing is worthwhile. And because I've set quite a lot of the books in Leicester or the East Midlands, it means that I've got quite a lot of readers in this particular area, and I think they appreciate the setting of these books in the world that they know. I think I read too many books that are kind of in an anonymous city or an anonymous country, or maybe somewhere that could be London or it could be New York or something. And like I said to you before, stories grow out of a particular place and a particular character of the people, and I think that Leicester has got its own special character, and these East Midlands places have got their own special character. I don't have any shortage of ideas. I've got too many ideas on my plate that I've got more than I can deal with, really. Well, it's like having a noisy crowd at the back of your head, and you're just sort of the one who's making the biggest clamour, really. It's like that. Yeah. It's a sad fact of life. I'm not going to live long enough to tell all the stories that I've got to tell, and so I've just got to have a think about the one that seems to me the most fun and the most interesting and that's got the most energy in it, and go with that one. Well, I actually knew Sue quite well, and I have got a Sue Townsend story because back in, when would this be, about 1981, something like that. I can't remember the exact year, 1981, 1982, something like that. Sue and I and 3 or 4 other people, we started off a Leicester Arts magazine, and we couldn't attract any advertising. so we started off a Leicester Arts magazine, and she wrote a column, and it was called The Diary of Nigel Mole, and it was the very first piece of the Adrian Mole sequence, and she did it just for that magazine. Anyway, that magazine folded after 2 or 3 issues, and I said to her, "What are you going to do with this? What are you going to do with this?" She goes, "Oh, I don't know, I might turn it into a radio play, or I might turn it into a novel." And of course Nigel Mole got turned into Adrian Mole, and the rest is publishing history. So I was there. I still have that magazine, and she was a great character. She was so encouraging. She was so ordinary in the sense of there was no like phony star quality about her. When I say she was ordinary, actually she was really quite remarkable and an incredibly talented person. But what was wonderful about her was that she cared about other people. And I think that came through in her writing. You know, she had the ability to write about characters and make you laugh at them, but she could also make you love them at the same time, and not every writer can do that. The thing to do is to treat it just like playing a musical instrument, in the sense that you have to sit down and practice it over and over and over. You can't get anywhere with a musical instrument unless you do that, and it's exactly the same with writing. Whereas with writing, because people have written essays in school or they can write an email or something, they want the ability to be there without having done the work, and you've got to put the work in. So I think that the answer is just to keep doing it and try and do it steadily on a day-to-day basis. And then you start to surprise yourself at what you can do and at the ideas that come. And the other thing is that I think writing generates writing, and that, you know, ideas come out of the ideas that you've written. It's not like it's all floating around in the ether waiting to be found. It can only be sparked by doing writing itself.